Hello, hello. I am Nancy DeLeonardi from Nancybinspired, and this is my podcast channel where I invite you to sit down and listen in or take your walk and listen in to some more inspiration where I can talk to you about things that inspire me and items that I write about on my blog and things that I post on social media. This is a place where I get to talk about those things in detail with you. So I am super excited that you are here. And today's topic is really going to be about reducing your stress. So it's April. Today is April 18th, and April is the month of stress relief. And I want to talk about it because I want to give you some tools that will help you in your life and help you reduce stress, because stress is never going to go away. We have to learn how to manage it. So this podcast is all about that. It is about inspiring you to live a more stress-free life. So come on in, get comfortable, get your favorite drink, and let's get started. So, as I mentioned, this is the month of stress relief. It is April, and we are in Q2 of 2024. So, if you're a New Year's resolution type of person and you maybe have not continued on to your resolutions that you made, there's still time to make positive changes in your life. I personally don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I believe in making changes in your life every single day, and that today you want to be better than you were yesterday in some capacity. Every little change is a change for improvement, and that's a win. So that's how I look at life, and I want to talk about, we're early in 2024. Every day is a new day that we are blessed with, and we have an opportunity to make it better for ourselves. And there are all kinds of stresses in the world, right? You can have a work stress if you work outside your home, or if you're an entrepreneur and have your own business. There could be stresses there. There could be stresses in your home life with neighbors, or just sounds around your neighborhood or your family, and stresses involved with that revolve around family. Or it could be, health stresses, or, we have little triggers that kind of set us off, and sometimes we go to default mode and we just stress about it. And I want to give you some tools to help you navigate through that. I also feel like there's tech stress too. We have technology around us all of the time, 24/7. We can get it on the phone, the TV, everywhere we go. There's just constant information coming into our senses. And so that is, for me personally, is my number one stressor. So I really try to reduce that. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the stressors and some things that you can do to relieve your stress. And you want to just start a new practice. If you're not doing it already, pick something that works for you, and then continue to do that when you feel like you're just getting a little bit, stressed or overwhelmed. So, if you have a job and your job is stressful and it's high pressured and you're constantly, grinding away, or there are situations that come up, and I call them fires. You have to put out a fire. We become firemen and we have to put out fires that consistently come out. And sometimes you have multiple fires, right? Some fires are bigger than another, and which one do you address first? So you're kind of in that mode all the time of, fight or flight. Which one am I going to deal with here? Because there's a lot going on, and, you have to discern which one you need to handle in the moment. And, that's a stress, and you can have a team that helps you do it, or that could be your own responsibility. You could be in customer service where customers maybe aren't very happy with you. You could just be in any type of environment where, you're stressed out with your job. You're not feeling good, but you need to go in because you need the paycheck, or you have a terrible boss or colleagues or whatever that is stressing you out. And so you have to look at your scenario and figure out, what is bothering you in that situation, what is stressing you, and what can you do to reduce your reaction to those stressors, because they're not going to go away unless you get a new job. You could take those stresses with you, that if you're in a certain kind of profession, sometimes those professions just have fires that go on all the time. It is part of the business. Same with customer service. If you deal with the public in any capacity, you're going to have somebody who's not happy, and they might just take it out on you in that moment. And so no matter if you go job to job, you're still dealing with the public, and that could possibly happen again. So it's not about the stress so much as it is about what you can do when you're stressed. And so as it relates to work, we're talking about that at the moment. I would recommend that you find a period of time when you are stressed, assess the situation, and assess how you can perhaps take some deep breaths in the moment to get yourself together, to try to think through what's in front of you. Just take a deep breath. If everybody's, overreacting and everybody's all hyped up because of the situation, somebody has to be the one to set the pace and level set them. And if you can't level set them, you have to level set yourself. So you either do it by taking a deep breath or stepping away from the situation and going to a quiet place so you can evaluate what is going on without being stressed, and understanding this is your job, you're the expert in the job, and you have to decide what you need to do next, what your next steps are to put this fire out, who you need to call in, who you need to depend on, even if it is just yourself. Have a plan and then go back to it and execute your plan. Now, some people do that really good in the moment. They can handle it. They know what to do. They're quick decision makers. They know the process, and they can put the fire out immediately with their training and their expertise. They can handle it. But after you have remedied the situation, you need to decompress from it. And so, as I mentioned, I highly recommend stepping away from the situation, stepping away from your workspace, your desk, the floor that you're on, the office that you're in, and take a walk. Either go outside and take a walk if you can. If you can go, even if it's just in the restroom, and go into a stall and close the door and just sit in there for a minute, or stand in there for a minute and just breathe. Close your eyes and just breathe and get yourself settled again. Whether you need to go get a drink of water, buy yourself a drink, meaning, coffee or a tea or, a specialty drink is what I mean. Not a cocktail, not a cocktail, but a specialty drink that you enjoy. So if you like iced tea with lemon and you normally don't drink that, but you're really stressed out and you calm yourself down, and you can drink that for a little bit to bring you to your happy place. Now, I'm not encouraging eating to suffice or offset the stress. I'm not talking about stress eating. I'm talking about something that you can do that will take you back to a happy place. Now, that could also be just going outside, sitting in your car, and turning on music. You can listen to calming music, actually listening to nature sounds, whether it's birds or a waterfall. That is really calming too. And you can find those sounds actually on YouTube. You just put it in YouTube and you can sit there and listen to it and calm yourself. Close your eyes and just do it for 5 minutes, and then go back to work and do the next thing that you need to do. This is not about taking a long period of time, like a 30 minutes or an hour away. This is about like a 5-minute break, really, is all you need. You can also do deep breathing exercises that you can find on YouTube as well. And I'll put some links. I'm going to write a blog about this too. And I'll put some links in there where you can go to these channels and listen to it. So you could do deep breathing. You can also, do some meditations. There are free apps out there. I use Insight Timer. I've been using Insight Timer probably for 6 or 7 years now. It's free. You can pay for a version of it, but I've used the free one all this time. But you can listen to sounds, right? There are chimes, singing bowls, just music, meditation, and it only takes a few minutes just to do that, do some deep breathing, and then go back to your work environment. Sadhguru is another person that I follow. I adore him, and he has an app. It's free, and there is a lot of information out there. There's a lot. He has many, many meditations. He has many mantras, many things that you can do to calm yourself down. And the number one thing that actually helps people with stress is meditation. You can start with a minute and you can progress from there. But in the moments that you're really stressed at work, I just encourage you to step away when you can and take yourself to a happy place. Like I mentioned, do one of the things that I mentioned so that you can, reset yourself and then go back. In your home environment with your family members or neighbors, things that stress you out, with people that are close to you. And this would apply to coworkers too. Conversation is really essential in any situation, and really just having a conversation instead of holding it in, approaching the person and just, talking it out and giving your view, understanding their view, and letting them know how that action that they're taking or the way that they're speaking to you or the thing that they're doing, how that makes you feel when they do that thing, and how you want to come to a peaceful solution so that you both can benefit with what you need to do and work it out. And I know that sounds really simple, but we normally don't do that. We just tolerate it, and we tolerate it so much that we're just holding it in, and there's no relief to it. There's no release of it, and there's no relief. You just, over time, it just accumulates and accumulates and accumulates. And so if you can have the conversation, and always approach it from a place of love, that you're not really there to be right or wrong. You just want, in your mind, you want to reduce this stress for yourself. Where is it coming from? Why does it bother you? Can you work on that first and figure out, why is this bothering me? Do I really need it to bother me? Is it something that happened before that makes me, automatically knee jerk? I react to it, but it's really no big deal. Like, think about it. I would say that I think a lot of the times our brain is just programmed to what it's been doing our entire lives. And I think if we pause and we assess, like, okay, why am I thinking this right now? Like, does it really matter that the sprinkler outside is running right now? Like, who really cares? But maybe you don't like sprinklers because you had a bad experience with sprinklers when you were a kid. I don't know. But think about it, because it could be that's why you don't like sprinklers. It could be that simple, and then you can reduce the stress for yourself. If the sprinkler is on and it's bothering you and it's killing your tomato plants because they're overwatered, then you need to have the conversation. If it's not your sprinkler, and say, hey, I understand you need to, however you want to say it with the person, just so they understand, I understand you need to water your grass and you need to water your plants, but my plants are right here, and so maybe we could work it out where we could time it together or whatever. I don't know what the situation is. I'm making all of this up, but you understand what I'm saying. So that I would recommend. Personal, conversations with neighbors, things that you cannot control, dogs barking or traffic or anything like that. There's really nothing you can do about it. You have to accept that that is part of life. And I'm talking about dogs in the distance, right? We can hear things when we're outside in the distance. And so you either have to put in a pair of iPods in your ears, AirPods in your ears, or, a headset, and sit out there and listen to music so you don't hear the dog barking or the sirens or traffic or whatever. Or don't be outside in that moment. Go back in the house. Go in your car and drive somewhere else for that serenity. Think of something else and then go back to it when it's more peaceful, that you can enjoy it. I would say as well, the stresses with technology, the information that is constantly being thrown at us. This is a big one for me, and I say restriction here. I've restricted myself on pretty much all applications on my phone. I do not get notifications for anything. Only really priority notifications are the only ones that I get. Everything else, I have to go to the app and I have to check it because I don't get the notifications. I don't want the notifications. I don't care if a company is having a sale. I don't care about the news. I haven't watched the news in over 2 decades. I don't care about it. That's not to say that I'm ignorant and I don't care about what's going on in the world. I get my information when I'm ready to learn about it and understand more about it. I go and get it. I am not fed anything. And I have preferred that for myself. It has worked wonderful for me, and it has reduced my stress level tremendously. So I am not subjected to anything that the media puts out there. Everything is on my terms and not their terms. And so I recommend, if you're getting notifications that Macy's is having a sale, or Kroger grocery store is having a sale, or it's, whatever, Black Friday sale or whatever the heck it is, I say turn it all off. Turn it all off. And only get the information that is applicable to you and that's important for you, family member notifications, etc. You want to have that open for yourself, but everything else, just restrict it, and then set a time. Set a time that you're only going to spend X amount of time on social media, checking your emails, checking, the text messages, etc., responding. And even if it's, just searching social media for whatever content that you're looking for, whether you want to, go through the galleries or the reels, your feed on Instagram or Facebook, just set a time, get your fix, get your fill, get updated on what you need to know, and then get off of it and don't go back on it. We are very tempted to go back on it. And the little notifications that they send you, if you have an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, there was a little story that I saw on YouTube, I think it was about the psychology and the creation of the notifications that we get and how they're designed to actually trigger our brain. It's almost like not tricking, but training a dog. You train a dog, like if you give me your paw, I give you a treat, and then they know paw treat, right? So it's the same thing. It's like you get the little buzzer on your wrist, and then you're like, oh, got to look at my phone because there's a notification, something's going on. They trigger us like that, like they train us like a dog. So turning off the notifications, you're automatically, when you get the notification, you want to react to it, and it interrupts your life. It interrupts what you're doing in the moment. And the epiphany that I had with this was, they're stealing your time, and stealing your time and interrupting your day is not a crime. They can do it, and all the companies do it. It's not a crime, but it really is. When you think about it, time, none of us can get back. We can't get back time. You can make back money, but you can't take back time. And so when they're interrupting your time and they're interrupting your thought process and they're constantly trying to control you to distract you from what you're doing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, we are not programmed that way. And that will have an effect on you in the long run, whether you create, you develop ADD, or you have issues with concentrating, or you have anxiety, or you notice your health changing, you're more agitated. It's because of the constant interruption that then when it's quiet and calm, you really don't know what to do with yourself. You're like, well, this is boring, because you've been used to, programmed to all that stimulation. It's constant stimulation. And you're on social media and you're looking at this reel, and then you go to that reel, and then you go to your Facebook, and then you go to YouTube, and then you go to LinkedIn, and then you go to WhatsApp, and then you go to your text messages, and then you go to your emails, and you're constantly boom, 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 all over the place. You're all over the place. And your brain is constantly taking in all of that information constantly. And it's exhausting. And the quiet actually calms your mind, calms your brain, and lets you be in the moment. Because really, I don't want to get too deep here, but everything that is important to us is in the now. It's in the present moment. It's all that matters. But the world wants to distract you. The world wants you to go into the future, go into the past. Don't think about the present, because I have a notification for you that you need to see right now. I have another notification. Every company has a notification that they need you to see right now, because they don't want you in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you are more clear in your thinking. You are more clear in what you want. You are calmer, and you are present to make decisions for yourself. And your well-being is managed in the present moment. You own that moment. They don't own that moment. They're stealing it from you. So don't let them steal it. I have not let them steal it for decades. I turned off my TV decades ago when I had this epiphany. And I'll tell you about this epiphany. Okay? You want to hear it? This is true story. True story. I was sitting on a couch watching TV, like billions of people do. And this one day, I was sitting there watching TV, and I thought to myself, what do I look like if somebody else was in this room? What do I look like to them? And I tried to visualize me outside of myself, looking at myself. And what I saw was me sitting on the sofa, staring at this box, feeding me information. And I was just staring at it. I had no mobility. I was sitting, staring at a TV that was feeding my brain and my mind and my soul words, news, advertisements, shows. And in that moment, I said, no more. I'm not sitting here anymore and wasting my life sitting on this couch, watching the idiot box, telling me what they think I need to know. I'm not going to do this. I visualize that as being fed information as a program. I visually saw that for myself, and I said, no more, no more. Now, I understand there's entertainment. There are movies you want to watch. There are educational things that you can watch, and that's different. But again, it's also limiting the time that you're going to learn the thing or watch the movie. Yes, I encourage that if that's a mode of relaxation, I do it too. I will watch a movie, but I want to say that when I had that epiphany, it was kind of like a habit that I had, like, every night at 7 o'clock I'm going to sit down and watch TV, right? And then I thought, why am I doing this? Like, why am I at 7 o'clock every night I'm going to sit down and watch TV? And I started to do other things. I started to read books. I started then to just entertain myself in other ways. I started taking walks. I started, coming up with recipes. I started, like I said, reading more. I eventually turned to Zumba as an instructor. I started studying it. I started learning more about different things, studying languages. I just took that time away from sitting in front of the box, and I started to learn things that I would not have done. And that was an epiphany for me, and I have never reverted back to it. I have never missed it a day in my life, and I highly encourage people to really restrict your time in front of the television. It is programming, and I know that you probably don't want to hear that, but it definitely is. And I think you should just really, every individual just needs to be cognizant of the information that you are taking in, and make sure that it is information that you want to hear, you want to learn, and it is beneficial to you, your family, and it enhances your life. Now, bad things are going to happen in the world. They've happened for thousands of years. They are always going to happen. Whether you want to be on top of that news, just know that the bad news is always going to be there. It's always going to be there. I'm not saying this to be cold. I'm just saying that if you want it, it's always going to be there. If you need a fix of negativity, you just turn on your TV. But what you can do to counteract that is to meditate and pray for the world, and pray that the negativity gets reduced and people are safe and people are protected. Instead of watching it and in watching it, you're actually expanding it. You need to turn it off and pray from another angle, from another level, from another spiritual level of consciousness. We can change the world by meditation, and meditation is just a really strong and powerful stress reliever. And if the world meditated every day, we would live in a different world. If every human being was taught from a young child into school, homeschool, if they were taught to meditate, and in most cultures it's prayer, it's prayer, but actually prayer is similar, but I think just to meditate and quiet your mind, just quiet your mind. the world would be a different place. And it can still be a different place if everyone listening to this and listening to my voice right now, if you don't meditate, if you started, we would shift the world. We would shift the world by starting. It's that powerful. So I encourage people to meditate. And even if it's for a minute, and even if you are distracted, that's normal, right? But you just want to quiet your mind and do that. I highly also recommend going out into nature and spending time in nature, putting your toes in the grass, connecting with nature. I take walks daily. And if you've listened to my other podcasts, you know I talk about this, right, with health and wellness and moving your body. There's other podcasts that are out there that I hope you're listening to. And if you haven't, go out there and listen to them. But getting out in nature, I go out into nature and it's my nature walk. It's really, I'm not doing it for fitness because I do everything else in fitness. And if those of you who follow me and know, I'm always in the gym and doing something. But my nature walks, I call it a meditation walk, and I will create a meditation walk for you that you can have and a mantra for you to have when you go on your walk, and that will suffice as a meditation. But for me, I don't have my headset in. I normally don't have my phone on me unless I want to record something for you. But I go out there and I observe nature. I will put my toes in the grass. I will go out in the snow. I will go out in the rain, and the smell of the rain on asphalt. I just think it's a wonderful smell. Even rain just on itself just smells so nice, and the air is just different when it rains, obviously. But the senses, your senses of smell and sight and touch, when the raindrops are falling on you or the snow is falling on you, it's chilly on your skin. And the wind, it just feels different. You know, in the summer, it's just so hot. And that warm sun is on your body like a blanket. And it just is so comforting. And the sweat is coming out of your body because you're sweating out toxins and you're releasing it. And as you're walking, you know, you're exercising your whole body. You're breathing in the oxygen, the new fresh air outdoors, not the recycled air in your home. And you're enjoying nature. You know, for me, I've seen so many creatures out in nature, snakes, and I've seen deer and an owl. I really saw an owl 2 weeks ago, and I've heard him. He's a barn owl. YouTube him or her. But barn owls have a very distinct sound. And I'm going to derail here for a second, but I had heard him. He actually lives in my neighborhood, and there are a couple of them because I've heard them go back and forth before. And he will wake me up in the night. He will wake me up like at 1 or 2, or sometimes like this morning he was out there and he woke me up at like 4 in the morning because of that distinct sound. Well, I'll tell you, 2 weeks ago I was on my walk. I walk a 3-mile, circle, if you will, 3-mile route, if you will. And I was away, I was about 1.5 miles away on my walk, and I heard the sound. And I was like, oh, he's nearby. And then I kept on walking and listening, like I tuned in to how far away am I from that sound? And he did it again. And I knew I was close. It was so close. I'm like, he's here. He's really close. And I looked around in the trees because I was walking, and I looked around in the trees. And this time of year, they had not come back yet. They were still, the pollen hadn't happened and they didn't bloom. They were still very bare. And I turned around, and there he was. There he was in the tree. And he was huge. I say he was like a cat. I don't even know if that's the proper description, but he was big. Like I could have carried him. He was huge, and he was spinning his head around, and he got quiet. He didn't make the sound anymore because he knew I was adoring him. And in that moment, I wished I had my phone because I wanted to share him with you. I wanted to share that experience so you could see. But I was like, there you are. I've listened to you so many times, and there you are in all of your beauty. Like, look how fabulous you are and how cool you are that you're an owl. And to me, that just brings me pleasure. Like, how many people get to see an owl up close? And I had heard him, so he's kind of like my outdoor pet, But he got really quiet. He didn't make the sound the whole time I was there because he knew. But I was talking to him. I was like, but you're so gorgeous. And then I continued to walk, and, then goes a cardinal. A cardinal flies across. Well, In Virginia, cardinals, they're our bird, they're everywhere. But a cardinal is so red and beautiful. You can have birds fly across the street, but a cardinal is going to get your attention. They are gorgeous. And like a blue jay, they stand out amongst the others. And woodpeckers, I've seen woodpeckers. I'll go on and on. But anyway, I'm just sharing with you that when you're on a nature walk or you go out into nature, you get to visit with nature and that their energy and the beauty of their lives out in nature. That's what I look at. Like, nothing restricts them, nothing inhibits them. They just do what they do. They do what they were born to do, and nothing interrupts that. They just do it, right? We were born and we have all of these interruptions because we're human, yes, of course, but we have to really be mindful of going back to the essentials of what we are and who we are and what we're here to do. And we're here to love. We're here to grow into ourselves, grow into the understanding of why we're here. But I do believe we are here to help each other. Really, I believe that's why we're here. We're here to love, we're here to learn, and we're here to help each other. And that can be through joy, through pain, through challenges, but that's what we're here to do. And when we have gone through something and we've come out the other side of it, we are to tell that story to help other people who are going through that get through it too, because you got through it and they can get through it too. And they can have the support, even if it's just in the story, even if it's just listening to the podcast, even if it's just reading the words, even if it's just seeing the post on Instagram. It's that one moment in time that maybe they needed to hear what they needed to hear or read what they read. That's what you're here to do. And if you help one person in your entire life, that is a blessing. I always say smile at a stranger, because you never know what people are going through. We hold it in, and that's what we do. But we're here to love each other and offer love and kindness to each other. And just by smiling at them could make their day. It could give them hope in that day that you saw them and you smiled at them. That means you didn't just pass them by like they were just nothing, that you stopped in that second and you saw them and you smiled. And that's huge. So I always say, smile at a stranger, because it could make somebody's day and it could change their world. So you never know. But I think that, again, this is why I'm an advocate of restricting technology. It is here to help us, no doubt. It is here to keep us informed, no doubt. It is here to enrich our lives and make things easier, of course. But to what degree? Everything has limitations, and it shouldn't take you away from what you were born to do and what you were born to be. And you were born, if you have a family, you were born to engage your family, little children. You were born as an adult, you grew up and you have children. And now your role as an adult is really to bring up the next generation. And you don't want your television to raise them for your next generation. You don't want YouTube. You don't want the Amazon Fire to raise your kids. You want to raise them and play with them, color with them, play board games with them, challenge them. I just think that is just a lost art, and people are just so busy that they really just think, oh, just get on the computer, get on the game, just do that, just turn on the TV. All of that is fine if you really need to cook dinner, you need to make dinner, and you need them occupied for that 15 minutes while you're making dinner or whatever. Sure, but it shouldn't be a child's babysitter. It shouldn't be their teacher either. The parent is responsible for that. I feel very strongly about that. And if you disagree with me, you're welcome to disagree with me. I am open to people agreeing to disagree, but that is just my POV, and I'm going to stick with it because I believe that it is powerful. I think we need to engage our children. We need to be there for our children. They need to know that they can depend on us and that we are engageable, if that's even a word, that we're not robotic, that we just answer like yes and no, just like the flat conversations on social media. So I really do believe that, just restricting that is really beneficial for you. So find things that will bring you joy. Sitting outside in nature, lighting candles, taking a spa bath, making a spa bath for yourself, massages. If you have a partner and they can massage your feet or your neck, even your children. I have found when my children were little, I used to take my finger and like very lightly touch their hand, like up and down each finger, like up and down each finger on their hand, or circles on their hand. And it puts you in like a calm, meditative, kind of peaceful. They loved it. Mommy, do that again. Everybody likes that. So, just find a way that soothes your soul and brings you back to the present moment. I can't emphasize that enough. There are a lot of things that you can do if you just take the time and the effort to do it. It doesn't cost money. You can, like I mentioned, you can go out into nature. You can go out into your backyard or go out into grass. If you live near the water, walk on the beach, the shoreline, put your feet in the sand. But just connect with nature. Restrict your time on social media and all news media. Restrict the information that's coming into your world. Be aware of what it is that you're taking in, because your life that you experience is a mirror of your thoughts. It truly is. And you want to control that the best that you can and try to bring more positivity and light into your life with the things that bring you pleasure. And when you're there, it actually helps you cope, manage, deal with anything that might come your way that could be a real big challenge. So I also wrote a blog about this, that you can find on my Nancybinspired.com. There's a whole blog about it that gives you all kinds of options that you can do, actions that you can take. You could do a plunge. It's really popular. There's ice plunge baths. Oh my gosh. You could do that. You could buy one for your home. You can buy a sauna for your home. You can, do that at the gym. But again, you can do whatever it takes that doesn't even cost any money. Insight Timer is a free app. Taking deep breaths for a moment is free. Taking time out from a hectic space is free. Just be aware. Notice your body. If you start breathing fast or you start getting yourself excited, elevated, stressed, take a break from it, okay? Just take a break from it and come back to it when you can. Okay, so the more that you learn to do that, actually, you will have less of that gap, I would say, every time it happens. The next time it happens, you have managed your stress so you can, handle the situation a little bit longer with a little bit more clarity to get you through it faster. And I'm speaking like, again, with family, you could do that, but with work, you can really manage those fires, because if you're in a profession and the same kind of fire is happening, then you can handle it better with more, like I said, clarity and patience and calmness before it takes you to that level of being stressed out. So the more that you practice meditation, the more that you practice controlling your emotions and reactions to the stresses, the bigger the gap of you getting there. You know what I'm trying to say? You're not triggered so quickly. There's a gap there because you've grown into managing it and not letting it stress you. So your stress level is reduced for a longer period of time because you're okay. You're not fight or flight. You're just, okay, I'm dealing with this right now and I'm going to resolve it so I can go back to what I was doing, and accepting that. It's just a better way of managing the situations because they're never going to go away. So again, I hope this podcast helps you, and I hope that you take any of the recommendations that I made here and you implement them into your life so that you can reduce your stress and live a happier life. It is the month of April, and we want to continue this beyond April, but I needed to talk about it in April to honor Stress Relief Month and to share the information with you so that you can live your best life. So thank you so much for joining me, and let this inspire you today.